Hi friends, hope you're doing well. I've got a new video setup as you can see. I hope you like it. Let me know if you have any feedback in the comments. But today I wanted to test it out and talk to you a little bit about knowing your audience. So as creators, when we think about our audience, we typically want to make sure that we are clear on who we're speaking to. And the biggest reason for doing this is so that when our audience receives it, they resonate with it. So we want to make sure that for them, it's a positive experience because they can see it and say, okay, this person's talking about me. But I also want to talk about the other side. I think actually knowing your audience is really important when you're actually creating. So I'll give you one example. I was recently writing or starting to write basically an essay about finding the perfect idea. And when I first started writing it, I started thinking about, okay, how do you collect ideas? How do you evaluate ideas? What are the different sort of ways to tell whether an idea is ready to be shared? What are the quality of it, and all these different things. And I realized there's so many different directions I could go into, so many different principles and tactics. And honestly, I got really overwhelmed really quickly. And I asked myself, okay, well, what's my frame here? Like who do I really want to be speaking to? What's the most important frame or lens that I can take? And to answer that, it's kind of like, okay, but who's the one person or the few people that you really want to target? And usually when I write, I try to think about sort of my past self, a younger version of myself, little Salman, as I like to call him sometimes. But someone that hasn't sort of gained some of the wisdom or hard-earned lessons that I have, and I kind of want to save him from having to go through that again and sort of struggle with the same problems. And when I look at it from that perspective, I realize, actually the issue isn't really like, how to collect and choose and evaluate ideas. The issue is really that a lot of those ideas were fine to share, and I just hesitated a lot for a really long time. And so I realized actually the message I want to share here is, hey, you know what? There's no such thing as perfect. So just put your ideas out there. One of the things that I've been doing over the last year and a half is really focusing on being prolific. So, sharing a weekly newsletter where I write ideas and share essays and create notes and make videos like this. And what I've found is that the more I share, the more it actually creates and liberates. It's like pulling from a well, and you find that the more you draw from the well, the bigger the well seems to be, because it's sort of counterintuitive. When we think about ideas, we think we're going to run out or something. I've really had the opposite experience. So when I speak to that person, I don't want to tell them like, hey, here's how you pick the perfect one. Don't share that one yet. Share that one later. I want to tell them, listen, it's good enough. It's like, done is better than perfect. And so that's what really helped me sort of clarify and shove away all these other things I wanted to say and just focus on what ended up being, the essay ended up being kind of called like "Stop Waiting for the Ripe Idea." It was kind of a play on the idea that people typically wait for something to be perfectly ripe, and you don't need to. So yeah, I just wanted to share that tip. Think about who is the audience, whether it's yourself or someone and think about what's the one thing you would want to say to them, and how can this sort of array or vast web of different ideas that you have, how can you pick something from within that and really share it? Because at least when it comes to writing, but really with a lot of creative work, it's really difficult to share a lot of ideas at once. You can do it, but it's a real task. So it's better to just pick one that you feel really confident about and run with that. And then what'll happen is that it'll be much more clear. The writing or creative process will be much more focused. It'll feel more seamless. You'll have more momentum. And then also when sort of people receive your creativity on the other end, they'll be like, oh, I know exactly what this is. And this either relates to me or it doesn't, which is great. It doesn't have to relate to everyone. But for those that do, it really will resonate even more strongly because it's focused. And that's really what we want to do. We want to be prolific with more specific and clear ideas rather than you know, pushing out stuff very rarely and having them be these sort of big, grandiose pieces. So hope that helps. And yeah, I'll see you at the next one. Thanks for watching.